I'm Alana Pierce, and welcome to IGN's VR Mechanics 101 presented by Oculus. There are so many different ways to implement combat in VR, and a good, fast-paced experience is one of the most satisfying things the hardware can offer. So let's talk about how different kinds of combat are implemented, and the unique challenges VR has to face. First up, shooting. Guns are a staple in modern video games, and in VR, actually physically aiming with precise motion controls, then pulling a trigger on your enemy is engrossing and addictive when done right, or frustrating and off-putting when done wrong.
Welcome to weapons training. Now, for a little target practice.
Robo Recall is an incredibly satisfying shooting gallery with loud sound effects and as much rumble as the touch controller can muster, acting as constant feedback for your hands. The way the robots you're shooting to bits are animated adds to that satisfaction too, and Robo Recall has made careful effort to strip out anything that might be annoying or tedious. One of those things is reloading. Some VR shooters have you just press a button, which can feel a little off when everything else is so involved and personal. Robo Recall actually has you release your grip to drop your gun and then lets you immediately grab a new one. It's a great alternative to having players fiddle with popping in new clips, in part because that wouldn't complement dual wielding very well, but also because it feels damn cool. Booyah! To manage an inventory of weapons, it smartly lets you grab guns just by reaching at your back, ultimately creating a seamless shooting experience that doesn't get bogged down by real-world conventions like buttons or D-pads for weapon selection and reloading. You can even pluck bullets and rockets out of the air and redirect them back to your enemies. There has been so much thought put into how players can move with touch controllers rather than on an Xbox One controller, and that in itself is a real evolution of games as a medium.
Move to the next objective.
To talk about Melee specifically, there's a game called Swordmaster VR. As the name implies, it's a sword fighting game that really does use all of the space available. You can duck, dodge, parry, and weave through combat in ways that are especially alluring because you feel like it's your own body being attacked when you're in VR. There are plenty of regular games I played where I've ignored all instruction to dodge in favor of brute force and succeeded, but Swordmaster VR took that drive away from me completely, instead making me analyze the 360-degree arena for my own safety and giving me an entirely new perspective on tactics and on stamina. It was built as a realistic sword fighting simulation too, and in that it'd probably be a little dull outside of virtual reality. You have to aim for openings between enemies' armor instead of just aimlessly bashing at their shield, because if you do, you're gonna wear out physically before doing a lot of damage. Through all my thought out tactics, careful parrying, and aiming precision that just isn't possible in regular video games, I basically ended up feeling like some kind of hero out of Game of Thrones. I also ended up sweating a whole lot, and feeling like I've done some exercise while playing video games is always a bonus in my books.
Launching in 3, 2, 1.
Last but not least is vehicle combat, and Valkyrie does a great job of showing us how traditional game genre can be improved by virtual reality. You can turn your head to track an enemy ship as it zips overhead and aim a weapon with your own face, which presents a whole new level of dogfighting. Eye tracking is definitely unique to VR, and Valkyrie's flat cannon lets you spray fast-moving enemies with a steady stream of damage as long as you can look at them, or as long as you can go without crashing into something, which is a challenge of its own. But while Valkyrie innovates a little less than the other two games on our list here, it's very hard to go back to a dogfighting game on a regular screen after playing it. Being able to freely look around as you pursue and evade targets, and strafe to dodge the incoming fire of an enemy carrier while you're sitting in a virtual cockpit, is a thrill that just doesn't exist outside of VR.
See you in the next life.
So that was a look at how 3 different games handle combat in VR. For more Mechanics 101 and VR in general, keep it right here on IGN.
This video is presented by Oculus, and for more Rift experiences, visit oculus.com.